Good afternoon, Orlando. I'm in my office, not traveling right now. So this is going to be a head talking chatty video. I am going to be talking about all the logistics I had to do to plan for the Tokyo Disneyland trip that I took just last month. So come join me. So this is going to be kind of a hodgepodge of like a lot of information that I kind of wish I had when I was traveling and I had to really dig for it. And then also it's going to be like a mini haul video because I have like a bag of stuff that I kind of want to show you guys. So I actually didn't buy a lot, surprisingly, but you know, I made myself have a budget. Anyway, so I originally went on this trip last month in April 2025 because I was actually there for Star Wars Celebration. I went there with my sister, Happy Landing. You can find her YouTube channel over here and also her Instagram. I think she has an Instagram. I really should know this about my sister. Anyway, so we went there together and then we figured like, well, while we're there, we'll also go to Tokyo Disneyland, because we haven't been to Fantasy Springs. The last time I went to Tokyo Disney was back in 2018. So, you know, a couple years before the great unpleasantness of the world. And then my sister went in 2019. So by then, you know, a lot of renos had happened. Fantasy Springs had fully opened. So yeah, I'm going to go through a couple of stuff, not only like some of the stuff I bought at Celebration and also at Tokyo Disney Resort, but also I'm going to go talk about the kind of logistics that I had to do with planning, like some of the prep I needed to do while I was here in the States, and some of the things I had to sign up for, what I bought ahead of time, and then also how to use the app, because the app was completely new, like a first time for me using it when I went this year, because in 2018 everything was pretty much paper. So before we start, a couple of disclaimers. One, nothing is sponsored. I am going to say a couple things like the apps I use that were really helpful for me. Also, all the info that I'm going to be having in this video is accurate as of April 2025 when I traveled. And for third, if you want to have more in-depth information on certain things, like, you know, vacation packages or like what are the seasonal things that are available, check out TDR Explorer. Chris and his team, they are the resource for all of the Asia parks, specifically Tokyo Disneyland Resort. Also Adam Hatton, he is a UK vlogger who recently went this past, I want to say February, and in his winter trip to Tokyo Disneyland, he went really in depth on how he got the vacation packages and how he orchestrated like going through the app. And then on Ordinary Adventures is an LA based vlogger group. They did they did more details on like how they booked their vacation package. I keep reiterating vacation package because I didn't use vacation packages for this. I stayed at an outside hotel, and we can talk, and I'm going to definitely talk about hotels later. Let's start with how many days like you should stay in Tokyo Disney Resort, and that's kind of a toss-up. I live in Orlando, so Walt Disney World is a stone's throws away. What is that saying? I can drive down the highway and I'm there. And my sister, she lives in Southern California. So again, same case for her. Anaheim, for, you know, the OG Disneyland Resort, again, easy down the highway. So for us, we felt 3 days was good. And 2 of those days was spent with Fantasy Springs, because Fantasy Springs was like the wild card, and we knew that like the stuff that we really wanted to do, we wanted to get in there. So we felt like we were going to do 3 days total, 1 day in 2 days in Fantasy Springs, or basically gave us 2 times to try to get into Fantasy Springs rides, and then 1 day Disneyland, because Tokyo Disneyland, the way it's set up, it was basically, if you watch the Imagineering story, what they did is they basically shopped. They were like, okay, I like this from Disneyland, I like this from Disney World, and we're gonna put this in our park. And then it's like a hodgepodge of stuff that my sister and I both are very familiar with, so we kind of just prioritize the stuff that we couldn't get on in our parks, in our domestic parks, and that was only that was just a few rides, like only a handful of rides. Also, another disclaimer, because I'm from the United States, everything I'm going to say in terms of dollar amounts is going to be US dollars. So, okay. Now, what do you need to do before you get to Japan? Well, there's a couple things. Obviously, your flight. Duh. Personally, I like, because I'm coming from Orlando, my flight travel is a lot longer and a little more expensive. If you're coming out from the West Coast of Northern America, so like say with all the way from like Vancouver, is that one? Seattle, San Francisco, LA, those all have direct flights into Tokyo. There's 2 airports. Remember, there's 2 airports in Tokyo. There's Haneda, which is kind of more, which is only like half an hour from city center. And then there's Narita, which is outside. But depending on the airline you're going on, you're going to be landing in a different airport. So be mindful of that when you're picking your return flights, right? You also want your passport up to date. When here in the States, I was always warned that, hey, if your passport is going to be expiring in 6 months, you may not be allowed to travel. You need to get it up to date. So also tickets would be a good idea because they still are on a reservation system there, kind of, sort of. What I ended up doing is I just ended up going on Klook. They have an app, and Klook is a international travel website. You can buy tickets. I've used Klook before for Universal Osaka. You can use it for Shinkansen tickets if you want, or Pocket Wi-Fi. I usually use it for attractions like the Tokyo Disneyland Resort. I also downloaded the Tokyo Disney Resort app, just because it doesn't function 100% like the American equivalent. However, your sign-ins will work. Like, for example, I have a Disney Plus account. My Disney Plus account is all tied to my Disney World account, etc., etc. And you can use the same for the for your Tokyo Disney app. It will use the same login, but it will not have your credit card on file. So just keep that in mind, because that's going to come into play a little later. Put a pin in that. So because my sister and I are adults, we both had our own account for the Tokyo Disney app. Once I got the tickets, it took them about 8 to 12 hours for me to get full confirmation, which wasn't that big of a deal. It's pretty common for Klook. Then what I did is I scanned the QR code, and then it into the app, and then the tickets all showed up. So then after that, my sister synced her tickets with her app, and then I was doing all the planning in terms of planning like our priority passes and all that, and I was able to do that all in one go. But in order to do the priority passes and making sure your whole family is underneath the same account and things like that, you need to have the tickets first and scan them all in, and then basically assign it that, like, this is my ticket, this is so-and-so's ticket, this is so-and-so's ticket. The app, those instructions for that part of the app is more in depth in the Tokyo Disneyland website. Next is customs. Depending on the country you're coming from, you need to either have a visa or not. It depends. In the United States right now, you don't need an extra visa. You can just go. You're on a 90-day visitor visa. There's that agreement. But before you go through customs immigration, they are either going to have you fill out a paper form of like all your information, or you can do the Visit Japan website, and it looks like this. And be careful, because there's a couple of scamming ones out there, but this is the one that is the correct one. You put in your information and everyone who you're traveling with. So your name, your passport number, your flight number, the address of the hotel you're staying at. There's only room for, I think, one hotel. So if you're the kind of person who is going to be traveling like multiple hotels for a trip, I think at least for the first hotel, put in, just so they know how to contact you in the first, 24 to 72 hours you touch down in I was about to say Hawaii, in Japan. So yeah, you just put in all your information, all your travel information, put all your party's information as well. And, you know, they're going to ask the random health questions. And at the end of it, you're going to see a button that allows you to click on a QR code. And then you keep that QR code, screenshot it if you need to, because you're going to be needing that to get all the way through customs and immigration. Because once you get through customs and immigration at Haneda or Narita, wherever you end up landing, you're going to have to scan that QR code, and then you're going to have to give them, or not give them, you're going to have to have your fingerprints scanned as well. When I went, they were scanning my thumbs, and then I had to go through the customs to like have them like check my luggage, and then I had to scan the QR code again, and then also had to scan my thumb. So yeah, keep that in mind. Now also, you'll need a connection set up. Tokyo Disneyland is now on an app situations, just like how the American parks are. And so what you would need to do is you need to have some sort of connectivity, and it's also good to have in case, you know, you need to use your phone for other ways, whether it's directions or something. Pocket Wi-Fi is an option. You can get that at the airport. It's actually better to order ahead of time and then pick it up at the airport, or you can have your mobile device. My mobile device allows international data for like $12 a day, which was, at the time that I was traveling, was roughly comparable to some of the pocket Wi-Fi's that I found. However, it did take a while for it to get its act together and like and realize like, oh, you're in a whole nother country and you're across the ocean. Okay, give me like half an hour to figure my life out, and then like it was able to work normal, like how it would if I was in the States. If you're planning to go on any of the local transportation, specifically the trains and subways, you can just order the tickets on like through cash. Like there's usually like ticketing kiosks in the front of every train station, and they do have English available on the machines. So you can just basically, you have to do is you have to figure out where your final destination would be. Like say if you're coming from Maihama Station and you're going to Tokyo, downtown Tokyo Station, say it's like 380 yen. Once you're at the machine, you match the rate to what you're planning, where your destination is, and then you put in your money, and then you also have to put in how many people you're paying for, whether it's just yourself or whether it's like yourself and some kids, because kids have a different rate. What you could also do is you could also use a IC card. IC cards are no longer physically available, only if you're using the tourist version, like the visitor ones, like the visitor Suica card. You can use that if you're coming out from outside of Japan. However, it's only valid for like 30 days. So if you plan to like maybe use it again or maybe come back, you might as well just get the digital Suica. The digital Suica is pretty cool. You just go into your app, and then specifically your wallet app, and then you try to add a transportation card or a transit card, and then you can just search for it and it'll show up, and then it'll allow you to add in certain different increments, 1,000 yen, 3,000 yen, 5,000 yen. And so my sister was using it, and then I was not. You basically just have to have your phone, and then you just put it on the IC reader. You don't even need to open up your wallet to get the IC card visible on your screen. You just go boop, and then it'll read it automatically. You can also use it at like 7-Eleven, Lawson's, Family Mart, and also any of the vending machines. What would also be good is for you to have apps like a Google Maps. Google Maps is very accurate when it comes to the train system, especially for directions. If you want to get on either the JR lines or the subway lines, what's really great about having this is that it also tells you the rapid versus the locals. And this is important if you are trying to get to longer distance between the train stations. For example, if I was at Maihama Station and I'm trying to get into downtown Tokyo, usually it could take, on a local train they call it, it could take anywhere between 30 to 35 minutes. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. But if you take the rapid, it could be 20 minutes or less, because there's less stops that you're going to. Okay, you've arrived in Tokyo, you've gone through customs, you have the QR code, or you filled out the papers, and you're going through customs, and you get your luggage. You're done. Yay! So, how do you get to your hotel? So, there's 3 major ways of transportation that you can do. You can rent a car. I don't drive on the other side of the road, so that's not an option for me. You could take a taxi. That is pretty expensive. I want to say it's anywhere between $100 or over just to get from the airport into to the hotel, and depending if you are staying at a hotel that's closer to Tokyo Disney and you're coming from Haneda Airport, that is a long way. But I do know that a lot of people, if they have a lot of luggage, they have a tendency to use this route or this type of transportation. Another way that you could do it is you can use the entire train system. There are 2 different connections you have to take. I think, if I remember correctly, you go on the Tokyo monorail, then you get off on a train station, then you have to walk out. You have to exit that station, walk outside to another bit, go to another train station. You have to connect twice, I think, and then you end up at Maihama Station at the end. I don't recommend this if you have, 1, a ton of luggage, and or you have very small children, just because it's the idea of going up the stairs, going up the elevators, lugging around luggage that's 28, 30 inches big, and it is a logistical nightmare, especially if you are trying to chuck that. What I suggest, if you are still trying to save money, not trying to do the $120, taxi, is try to book a limousine bus. You can do this still when you're at home, a day or 2 prior to arrival, or you can actually book it the day of. My sister and I did that. We were actually staying at a hotel out in Chiba, the Hotel Green Makuhari. They do have a limousine bus for that hotel. However, all the Tokyo Disney hotels in that area, they do have limousine bus access. The limousine bus either drops them off right in front of the hotel or at a major train station nearby. So the same goes also for Tokyo Central in terms of if you're staying in the Tokyo area, because Tokyo Disney is outside of the city. The cool thing with the limousine bus, it's a bus. But you don't have to drive, and it will, they'll take care of your luggage. At the time that I went, it was 1,600 yen, which is about $13, and my sister had big luggage. And just for convenience sake, we decided let's just get the limousine bus. It's so much easier. And then they just dropped us off right in front of our hotel. So as of hotels, staying inside Tokyo Central versus not, and staying closer to the Tokyo Disneyland Resort area. Okay, so if you are planning to do majority Tokyo, right? If you're planning to do mostly Tokyo, Shinjuku, Shibuya, Akihabara, all those places, and then you're only doing 1 day at Tokyo Disney Resort, it just makes more sense to stay inside the Tokyo area. However, if it's reversed and you're planning to only do Tokyo, the city, for 1 or 2 days, and 5 days or 4 days in Disney, it makes more sense to just have your hotel over there. There is a straight line from the JR station of Tokyo, downtown Tokyo, and then Maihama station, and then vice versa. There is a single line. You don't have to do any stops, so it is easy that way. The commute to get out can be kind of a pain because the park closes at 9, for example. You're trying to get back to your hotel and it's all the way in downtown, so it's that's another half hour, probably another 10 minutes walking, and it's just kind of a pain. So depending on where you stay or where you're going to spend the majority of your time when you're in Tokyo, think about it like that, or you could just always just change hotels. Kind of depends on you, but that's kind of what I suggest. Now, as for what's there are a few Tokyo branded hotels. TDR Explorer has gone through these hotels a couple times. The majority of them are luxury. There's only like one mid-range, and then there's two budget. However, the budget ones are off property. So while it's nice, it's not exactly very accessible. So I actually opted to stay near Bayside Station, which is just connected to the Tokyo Disney Resort area. In that Bayside Station area, there is a couple of hotels. There's the Hilton Tokyo Bay. There's the Sheraton Grand Tokyo Bay. There is the what's called the Grand Nikko Tokyo Bay Maihama. There's the Tokyo Okuro, I believe. There's a couple other ones in that area. Now, I've stayed at the Hilton. My sister has stayed at the Sheraton. They're both pretty much to the American standard that you think of. But we also really liked the most recent stay that we had, which was at the Grand Nikko Tokyo Bay Maihama. We really liked that because it had the exact same amenities as we got at the American branded hotels. So like it is a larger room because it's in a resort area, it's in the Tokyo Disney area, so they cater to foreigners essentially in terms of size. It is a lot bigger than the standard Japanese Western style hotel. They have a breakfast buffet available. They have I think 2 restaurants or 3 restaurants. They also have a small mini mart where they have sundries and like snacks. They also have a gift shop, and then they have a bunch of other stuff like a currency exchange machine, and they help sort out like bell services and concierge and all that. And because the Grand Nikko was a lower price than the Hilton or the Sheraton, and it's the same walking distance to the Bayside Station, 5 minutes walking, we decided, okay, let's just stay at there. And like it was a great time. I would totally stay there again, by the way. But most hotels have bus services. Like when I say bus services, not only the airport limo bus, but also like a bus service to Bayside Station, which is the closest station, or a bus service to, I think, to Ikspiari, which is the equivalent to Downtown Disney or Disney Village or Disney Springs, like a shopping area that's outside of the Disney property. Now you're probably thinking like, what the heck's Bayside Station? Now here's a segment where we kind of talk about how the resort is set up. 2 parks. There is Tokyo Disneyland, Tokyo Disney Sea. They are all connected through the Tokyo monorail system. You do pay for the Tokyo monorail system. You can use your Suica or your Passmo card. I opted for a pass because it was super cute. There are different designs, because when I went was the 42nd anniversary of Disney's or Mickey's Philharmonic. I got this little pass card, and this is a 3-day pass. Each trip is usually 600 yen, I think. So that's about like $3, $4. But if you go over, like if you go for 2 days at least, the pass turns into, I think, 1,000 yen. So then you technically be saving money if you buy at least a 2-day pass. Yeah. So they have this design at the time that I went because of an anniversary, and this is also a thing they celebrate anniversaries for a while. I'm gonna get into that later. So it was this design, but also they had like a classic Mickey and Friends one. They had Duffy one. They had a Donald one, I think. I forgot the other designs. It depends what station you get to. I bought this one at the Ikspiari Maihama connection, that station. Now it says it expires the 22nd of April. That is end of day, so like 11:59 p.m. And the rates are different for like children versus adult, just so you know, because this is $1,200 for adult, and I think the child version is usually like 100 or 200 yen less, so like maybe $1 or $2 off. But the way that you use this is you just like put it into the feeder and then you just pop it out, and then you actually get to keep this as a souvenir essentially. Now if you're lucky enough to stay at one of the resorts, like the Toy Story Hotel or the Miracosta Hotel, things like that, you actually are allowed into the park 15 minutes early. Fantasy Springs, you're actually allowed 30 minutes early. Again, time of recording, so this may change. So they're allowed to basically walk in and like get to the line they need to get in. So the lines can get crazy. You've probably seen pictures about like, oh my gosh, line culture is normal in Japan. You're just gonna have to like deal with it. But what's nice is that no one just loiters. They actually just all try to move forward. But fair warning, Tokyo Disney Sea's line, it is very slow, and the reason why is because they try to do it all in one go. First you're in line for like, I don't know, however long. We usually try to go there like before rope drop, like half an hour before rope drop. I've been there one time like an hour before rope drop. The line is just as dense. Like you're a little ahead, but not by much. So you will move, like it's just line culture. You're just gonna have to get used to it. So anyway, Tokyo Disney Sea's line is very slow, and the reason why is because you're lining up and then you bottleneck into security. So you do you line up, security, they look through your bags if needed, metal detector, and then they scan your ticket. That's all in like one single time. That's like one step right after the other. Tokyo Disneyland, everything is quicker because as soon as you get off the station, the monorail station, they check your bags, and then you go in line and wait for however long, depending on what time you get there, right? So, and then after the line, you scan your ticket, and then you're allowed in right away. So be mindful that you might be trudging along like this when you're trying to get into Tokyo Disney Sea, and it could take longer. I'll tell you this right now, because we had to go through security and scan our tickets in and everything like that. It took me about half an hour from where I was standing in line to go through the turnstiles. And I only know that because the park opened at 9 and I didn't start screen recording to get my Premier Access stuff until like 9:22. And then, but for Tokyo Disneyland, I was in about 10 minutes, maybe less. Now, another thing too is your location share on your app must be on. And the reason why is because you're scanning through. And then you also need to be inside the park when you do the Premier Access, like in all the passes. Unlike in the United States, where you can either be in like the comfort of your own pajamas when you're doing virtual queue, or like you are in the comfort of your hotel when you are trying to buy your individual lightning lanes for, whatever you want to ride. You have to be inside the park and clocked and like scanned in when you're trying to do all your passes and your mobile orders. But once everything is scanned though, and like all your people are inside the turnstiles, then you can start planning your day. And this is where we're gonna start talking about the app. Now again, the app doesn't really function exactly like the US ones. It's a little different. Now there are a few different systems in the app. There is the virtual queue, there is the 40th anniversary priority pass, and then there is the Premier Access. Premier Access, essentially it is the single pay per ride for the big ticket attractions. For the e-ticket attractions, we are talking about anything that's going to like have a really long line or that's a really popular ride. It's equivalent to the individual passes, lightning lanes. Yeah, this nomenclature is driving me crazy. I swear to God, Disney. The 40th anniversary priority pass is the free, thank you Oriental Lane Company for all that money and the free pass. It is equivalent to a free fast pass system that you do all digitally. Now what do you want to use the Premier Access for is for the big ticket rides. Again, we're talking about Beauty and the Beast, anything you can get in Fantasy Springs, and any of the rides that just like don't die in terms of their line queues. Priority pass is kind of whatever the heck else you can get. I actually used priority pass on like Haunted Mansion. Haunted Mansion is different, is a different setup than how it is in the States, so I decided to do that. I think we also did Small World also. I forgot. And then I also mentioned virtual queue. Virtual queue is essentially when they need to limit, this doesn't happen all the time. It's only when there's a high population, like we are talking ridiculously vacation high population, where they need to limit how many people are coming in. They do that a lot when it is like in Fantasy Springs. Again, if it's major population that they're expecting to come in. Also during March events. When I went this time around, it was the start of Duffy's 20th anniversary like merch release. So McDuck's, which is a store out in Disney Sea, which sells Duffy merchandise, they were doing virtual queue for the first day I was there. Because it was like a merchandise release, but then the days following there wasn't a virtual queue to get into that store. It was still chaos though. So there are other things that you can use the app for in terms of for Premier Access. You don't have to do this, but it might be a good idea to, depending on just your time management. I used Premier Access to also do like the parades and the shows, like the nighttime shows. What Premier Access allows, it allows you a specific spot on the path. So for example, we wanted to see the parade for Donald Quack Duck City event. And what the Premier Access allowed us to was it allowed us to buy a good spot, like front row, like for the first 3 front rows in the parade. Because what happens normally is that you get into the park at 9:30 and there are people already sitting on the path with their mats out and just waiting and just, luxuriating, shoes off, snacking, and they're just like waiting for the parade to show up. This at 3:00. Like I cannot stress how much people are willing to wait for this parade. By the way, the parades are good out there. So if you feel like this is worth your time, definitely check it out. Maybe I'm just salty because I still have Festival of Fantasy in Disney World. However, if you can't make it and you want to be able to like still kind of watch it in passing, I think it's possible. Everyone usually sits for the parade. Like no one's kid is on people's shoulders. Everyone has a good view because everyone's sitting down. Standing is in the back, so you might have a good view anyway, because the parade floats are actually pretty tall. But I mean, it's not necessary. But I still am glad I bought my spot because I was like second row in. And then as for the nighttime shows, again, good view rather than waiting for a while. I think I only checked in. I only had to check in like 30 minutes prior. So basically my sister and I, we just grabbed snacks or bought snacks and then brought it with us to the entry, and then we showed them our pass, and they were like, they scanned it and they're like, okay, you're here, and then like they escorted us to like where our seat was, or where our seat. It's a sticker on the floor, but it was our sticker on the floor for the night. However, the Tokyo Disney Sea show we weren't able to watch because the gale winds were galing and they had to cancel. So I ended up getting a refund anyway. I didn't have to worry about anything. I didn't have to try to manage a refund in Japan. They decided they just do it automatically within 72 hours because that's when I saw the return. Okay, I'm gonna look at my phone and I'm gonna go through the Premier Access video that I managed to record, because this is like one thing that I think people don't usually have ready, or usually aren't familiar with, and it's actually really easy once you get started. So as you can see on the top, there's Stella Lou and Lena Bell. Those are the icons that my sister and I chose for our trip, and that also indicates how many people are in your planning party or your member party. So like that helps to like verify who you're planning for when you're doing these things. So we're gonna go down to my plans, Disney Premier Access, which are the attractions. And then while it's thinking and wondering if it should let me through or not, then I'm selecting all my family members. And then I was trying to pick between Rapunzel's Lantern or Peter Pan's Adventure. Now, our goal for this trip was to get on Peter Pan. And we knew Disney Sea was a 2-day situation for us. So I was thinking like, okay, I'll just do Rapunzel either as a backup or like try to do it 2 hours later. And I managed to do that. So here I picked Peter Pan, and then I picked a time. And then again, more like, now if you scroll down here, you see park tickets used by, you see the names of your party, right? And then you also see the payment method. Now, payment method, at the time that I first opened the app and used it to purchase anything, it was blank. I had to put in a credit card. I have an American Visa, and it worked fine for the tickets, for the Premier Access. But then when I did mobile order, it flagged. So I had to verify with my bank that yes, it is me. Yes, I'm in Tokyo. Please allow me to buy food at Lookout Cookout. Thank you. And then after that, it just let me purchase all the tickets or purchase everything through the app. So now once you pay for something through the app once, or once you have a resort reservation through the Disneyland website and you have a credit card on file with the vacation package program, then your credit card information is saved on the app forever, unless you want to change the card. And then you're able to do everything. So the next time you do the any sort of ordering, whether it's mobile order for food, whether it's Premier Access, it will all be the same, and it will all be much easier. You can just breeze through it. And it also will tell you when you can order a new pass, because you're not I think you're allowed 2 hours. And this video is the priority pass, and it is very similar. So you basically press the 40th anniversary priority pass. The disclaimer will show up. It will think and wonder if it wants me to make a reservation or not. Click on the people I want to go with me on the ride. Now this, at the time, I was looking at everything and I was like, I don't want to go on any of these. So then I just ended up leaving it alone, and we ended up just like going on Shandu twice. No, I'm kidding. We didn't go on Shandu twice. We went Shandu on once. I say Shandu, Sinbad's. And then you basically pick the times. I decided not to go on any of these rides because I was like, I'm not jonesing to go on, Nemo and Friends Sea Rider. I was really just trying to see how the app worked with Premier Access and all that. And then when it comes to ordering food through mobile order, it is, again, very similar. You pick all the food you want to order, you pick the time, and then if the credit card is already in the system, just keep going. If you need to put your credit card in, put it in, and then that's it. And then what you do is, once you're like outside the building, you just hit the button, prepare my order, and within 5 minutes, you're going to get called to go to mobile station number, whatever. Sometimes they won't let you in the building unless your mobile order says it's ready. Or sometimes they do. So it kind of depends. You have to ask. It obviously depends on the traffic. If it's like high peak lunchtime, like 12:30, they may not let you in unless your mobile order number is ready. However, if it's 3:30 in the afternoon, they might just be like, go ahead, sit down. Is it also blasphemous that I'm drinking from an Epic Universe cup while talking about Tokyo Disney? And in case this video couldn't get any longer, how would you like to see some of my haul? Okay, for the record, some of this is from Star Wars Celebration as well. I have 2 kids, a boy and a girl. So this one is from Star Wars Celebration. There you go. It actually says celebration in katakana, so that was cute. This is for my kid, for my boy. And then I decided to like get a matching one for my little girl, and actually says Japan on the top. This one right here says Japan Star Wars Celebration. And I can't find the shirt I got for myself and my husband, but it's the key art. It has Darth Vader with the rising sun and Mount Fuji and purple cherry blossoms. It is amazing. I love this one. And the t-shirts in Japan, just in general, are like super thick. So just keep that in mind. And also, so these were American sizes because this was at a convention. However, when you're in Tokyo Disney and you want to buy shirts, the medium large one size, the medium large one sizes are pretty forgiving. But like if there's a standard like small, medium, large, extra large, or LL they call it, the LL is equivalent to like a large in the States. Oh my god, just gonna carry this around. There's these shirts. I got a bucket hat because why the heck not? And I wanted something that says Tokyo Disney. The thing is, the culture, the merchandise culture out in Tokyo Disney is more character based than it is like resort based. Like if you go to Disneyland or Disney World, you'll see like a million different variations of Spirit jerseys that have like the park's name on it. But Tokyo Disney is usually like, again, they would have characters printed on things. So I wanted this bucket hat because I wanted it to be specific. They're just like, oh, where'd you get that? Tokyo Disney Resort. Thank you. And then also I got this keychain, but it also holds your ears. This is a Small World. God, I'm gonna be one of those. Okay, there you go. The Small World print. What you do is you put your ears in there and it clips it and holds it for you on your backpack or wherever you're putting it. They do have different designs. They either have like they have like Mickey ears on the top of like this right here, or it's, I don't know, some other designs I don't remember. I just like the Small World print. It was super cute. I wanted that. Okay, I'm that person that loves buying stuff for the family. And when I mean love buying stuff for the family, I mean I bought myself this shirt, right? It is loud, it's pink, right? And this has mostly Minnie and her nieces, which are they the ones who are named April, May, June? Shoot, I don't remember. So that's my shirt. But then I got my daughter as basically the smaller version. And you're just like, well, did you get your husband or your son anything? Oh yeah, and they're matching. Yeah. Hang on. So this is my son's version. And it's Mickey with his, yeah. And it's white mostly, but that's fine. Whatever. And then this is my husband's, and it is pretty big. I would try not to put these in the dryer because usually like it's really thick cotton, it could shrink. But yeah, and I'm that mom. I really am. Also, I bought this for like $3. It's just also like a bag because why the heck not. Also, these are actually pretty comfortable to carry around with you, like when you carry around merch and stuff when you're in the park. Also, just a random quick note, if you have like a plastic bag like 7-Eleven, keep it around because when you're out in town, Tokyo Disney has a lot of trash cans, don't worry about that. But like when you're out in town, there's not a lot of trash cans around, so like you need to duck into a 7-Eleven and like throw stuff away that way. Anyway, also, another thing about just Tokyo general is that they don't usually use like paper towel dispensers when you're in the restrooms. What they do have instead in the restrooms is that they have the standard like Japanese space toilet. They also have like a little seat for your toddler in case you need to like have your kid chill and relax and not try to open the door, because there actually are 2 different heights of locks. So if you need to by the way, this is only in Tokyo Disney. So and then also like a a training seat for your toddler in case they need to go potty. Love that. Anyway, so while I was at Star Wars Celebration, I also wanted to get a washcloth because I was going tangent with this, wasn't I? Oh, so when you're in a restroom in Tokyo in general, sometimes they only have like the hand dryers, and if you don't like that, I suggest a washcloth to carry around with you. Also, if it's really humid and you're sweating, just saying. But yeah, washcloth, and this is from the Grogu store in Star Wars Celebration. You can see it's itty bitty Grogu. I have 2 other ones. I have a yellow one and I have a pink one. Yeah, but that one's super cute. So that's some butterflies. And then this one, again, I got another washcloth. I just wanted like stuff to use in my house. So this is a Fantasy Springs washcloth. It has all the attractions there. So there's Peter Pan, Rapunzel, Anna, Elsa. So yeah, there's that one. And then, you know, the popcorn bucket game is out there. It's pretty gnarly. Now, in Disneyland, they have a store that is specifically for popcorn. You can either get the strawberry, caramel, or cheddar. I suggest the strawberry. And you can also order popcorn, or you can buy the popcorn buckets there. Now, in Tokyo Disney Sea, there are, you just have to find the bucket you want. Go on their website and look up popcorn. You can actually filter out based on the popcorn bucket that you want, or the flavor. And say you find a popcorn bucket that you want but you don't like the flavor, you can actually ask for a voucher. You can just say voucher, and what that'll allow is that it'll allow you to get a voucher for another popcorn stall. Like, say for example, say you go to the one that only sells, I don't know, garlic shrimp, which by the way is actually more garlic than shrimp, so it's still pretty good. But if you are like, no, I'm not feeling that flavor, and you want something else, like you wanted the chocolate one, like the milk chocolate popcorn, but it doesn't sell the popcorn bucket you want, just ask for the voucher, and then go to the store that you actually want, or go to the cart that you actually want the popcorn from, and then you can get the voucher. Or you can say like separate, and you can still get a popcorn bucket, but don't have like the remnants of popcorn inside your nice bougie popcorn bucket. So I had a mission to get 1 popcorn bucket, bare minimum. There were 3 on my list, and then I dwindled it down to like 2 once I actually got into the parks, but then I decided on 1, and here she is. Isn't she gorgeous? So this is the Peter Pan Big Ben popcorn bucket. This is actually the best side right here. Hang on. We need to move this over. This is actually the best side. And yes, there is a tank that you have on the strap. And you open it from the top. And I think I had caramel with this. Now don't worry about this breaking, especially these bits, because they're rubber. But I actually still wrapped it with clothes and then put in my carry-on. I had to put in my carry-on because... Wait. It lights up. So there's batteries. You can't check in anything with batteries. Otherwise, what if it explodes? And then, you know... Let's not think about that. Anyway, I also wanted to buy the Rapunzel one, but I think I'll save that for my next trip. But yeah, she's beauty, she's grace, she's Miss United States. Yeah, I love this. This is my favorite, and I have absolutely no regrets, because what I like to do is I like to flex. I like to have because I have the Steamboat Willie from 2018, and I have the Buzz Lightyear from 2018. So I walk around with those popcorn buckets around Hollywood Studios here in Orlando, and I just flex, and they'll be like, oh, where'd you get that popcorn bucket? And I'm like, Tokyo. Yeah, I have problems. Anyway, now in terms of strategy, in terms of like which rides you should priority pass or which rides you should do, obviously anything Fantasy Springs, use a priority pass. There's 4 attractions in that park, or in that side of the park. You can't use it for Tinkerbell's Busy Buggy, Yeah, there's no like pass or anything you can use on that. You're just gonna have to attrition it and like just stand in line. I would suggest prioritize Frozen if you can. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go because the first day I went, it was broken. And then the second day, I was too late and it took me over half an hour to get through the turnstiles. And by then, all the passes were sold out. Rapunzel's Lantern Festival. That ride is short. So if you're going to stand in a 2-hour line, you might get mad. I'm just saying. So if you can priority pass it, do it. It's just that I, for myself, I know I'm going across the world for this, but it's not worth a 2-hour wait. So I would think about that because the ride itself is maybe 50 seconds, maybe a minute and 10, maybe. Also, Peter Pan is very cool, as you can see. Check out the fit. Yes, hang on. There's that. They also have other designs, like with the Darling Kids and Hook and Smee. But anyway, what was I talking about? Peter Pan is also Peter Pan I think is worth a longer wait just because the ride itself is longer. It's maybe 2 minutes. No, it might be 5 minutes or longer. I'm not 100% sure. I do remember it was a while, to the point where I was just like, I mean, I would stand in line for that for at least for an hour. I think I'd be okay with that. Either way, once the lines start in Fantasy Springs, they don't go down unless something broke. But other than that, they don't go down. So if you have a chance, like say, like I think what did I do? So I think what I did one day is like I booked Peter Pan and like Journey to the Center of the Earth. It is a very popular ride. It is a very good ride, but it ebbs and flows. So like there are like the first 30 minutes is usually a good time to walk on or to like stand and stand by, and then like kind of more towards the end of the night, the line does go down. Soaring is one of those rides that once the line is there and it doesn't go down. So if you want to go on that, you can. The only difference with that ride is one, the queue is a lot better. There's actually a story attached to it. Don't know what the story is for Soarin' to this day. And the projection work is sharper, I believe. And like obviously the scenery, because like in Disney World we go over Epcot, and then depending on the version out in California, you're either soaring over California or you're like soaring around the world, and then you're going over LA and then Disneyland at the end. The same thing with Tokyo. You're going over Tokyo, like downtown Tokyo, and then you're going over the resort. That's kind of different. Anyway, I think I'm gonna end the video here. I think that's everything in terms of like just the basic logistics. I know this video this thing is clocking in at an hour 12. But I think that's happening in terms of logistics. If you have any questions, let me know. Leave a comment in the video. Let me know what you're looking forward to. Are you going to Tokyo Disney soon? Is there anything that you are nervous about or like that you want an answer to? I'll be more than happy to help. I'll try to check my messages more often. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you're looking forward to. So other than that, see you later. Bye.